Welcome to episode 23 in the KIPS Personal Trainer Application Podcast. My name is Tyler Valencia, and I'm the president of KIPS and Kettlebell Concepts. In this episode, we jump into the world of indoor cycling with BeatBoss Senior Director Robert Leadley. Cycling has been around since the mid-'80s and is one of the foundations of a group fitness schedule. Robert discusses the different methodologies within indoor cycling and dives into the ways BeatBoss is differentiating itself. Let's get to the episode. So Robert, for those new to cycling or even fitness instructors that have been around but never taken a cycling class, what are the different styles or methods within this type of exercise modality?
Tyler, that's a great question. So basically, there are two types of indoor cycling in the years past. And there's what's called traditional indoor cycling and the non-traditional. Those are the two sides of the coin in the past that have represented indoor cycling. Now, an important point to realize with both of these sides of the coin, they both use the same type of bike. It's a fixed base, one wheel with pedals, handlebars, and a resistance knob. So it's not like different bikes are used for the two types of methodologies and styles. Okay, there's lots of different types of companies that produce these bikes with differing levels and such, but they are basically the same piece of exercise equipment. Mm-hmm. So on the traditional side, the traditional indoor cycling side is road inspired. So you are basically doing an outdoor class indoors. And those traditionalist indoor cycling classes, they focus on watts. So W-A-T-T, think of a light bulb. You literally buy a 25 watt light bulb, it's pretty dim. You buy a 100 watt light bulb, it's quite bright. And so the traditionalists are led by those watts or power. Okay, they also utilize sometimes what's called an FTP test, a functional threshold power test. That's an average of your watts, so that you can get a more clear and accurate average of how much wattage output that you're doing. Okay, they oftentimes use a lot of data or a monitor on the bike, not always with traditional cycling classes, but a lot of times they do use a monitor to watch their watts, their RPM, and how far they've gone on this fixed base bike that does not go anywhere, but you can track your mileage on the bike.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And then on the flip side of the coin is the non-traditional side. Okay, non-traditional is rhythm-based. So you are led by the music. Traditional cycling, they do use music as a motivator, absolutely, but it's not the main focus. As we're non-traditional is rhythm-based. The music drives your pedal stroke. Okay, and non-traditional also uses upper body movement, which is a bit controversial in the cycling world, whether that is safe or not safe. And that is what the non-traditionalist, that's their focus. And oftentimes the non-traditionals also viewed as party, you're going to get your sweat on, you're going to dance to the music, you're going to torch some calories, but there's not a ton behind of why you're doing it. And the two sides of these, the traditional and non-traditional, they don't always mesh very well.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yes.
For those, I'll say, listening in, and even myself, I will admit that I've taken traditional classes. Being introduced to the rhythm-based one is something rather new, whether I've seen it on social media. And the first question that I have off of that, and it's mostly with the programming of it, is someone that does the rhythm-based, are they looking for the song first, in your opinion, or are they developing the routine for? Is the cueing and the choreography of it, or how does that usually play out?
Well, there are definitely different avenues in terms of arriving at a rhythm-based class. And that's where BeatBoss fills that void. That's where BeatBoss is able to give purpose and reason to what song you're using, why you're using that song with a particular beat, and then what action component, whether it be an optional upper body add-on or a power-based drill,
Mm-hmm.
you have purpose to what you are presenting to your class members, and all while being led by the beat of the music, which BeatBoss explains why we ride rhythm, not just because it is very fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it also holds you accountable. So it makes you work really hard. Then
Gotcha.
you layer in what action component that you're putting into for each song.
Gotcha. And another question for individuals like me that are still learning about the different types of methods within cycling. When you're doing work, or say upper body work, is it traditionally done on the bike, or are individuals getting off of the bike to do it?
That's a great question. So in terms of BeatBoss, we support upper body add-ons. And that means you are on the bike and
Mhm.
you are performing safe and effective upper body movements that are inspired by off-road bikers.
Mhm.
So those BMX and mountain bikers, to achieve what they do, they use their upper bodies to, you think of a BMX biker, a mountain biker, they're on an outdoor bike, yet they are moving their upper body. In
Mhm.
the traditional realm, that's a big no-no. They call it contraindication when you do upper body movement on the bike, because the traditionalists believe that you don't do anything on an indoor bike that you wouldn't do on an outdoor bike.
Mm.
But they're specifically talking about a road bike. They're not really thinking outside the box
Mhm.
with those BMX and mountain bikers. And that's where a BeatBoss class brings in that purpose to the on-bike upper body movements. Now, are there rhythm classes, or maybe not even traditional classes, that you may get off the bike and do a section of weights off the bike, or like an ab section or a cardio section off the bike? Absolutely, people do kind of dual classes like that.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
mean, when I start to think about it in terms of your time of exercising, whether you have 30 minutes, an hour, and if you're trying to maximize that, and depending on the goal of the individual, which I think we're coming back to, I don't want to shun traditionalists, but
Absolutely
the
not.
unique factor that you are inside and you do have access to, let's say, uh, weights, or you have access to the space to be able to perform lunges, squats, whatever that might be. I mean, in a way, you're almost increasing your workout. You're being able to be a little more efficient, to be able to um, do a circuit or whatever that might be, depending upon the goal. Again, I know that there's a little bit of controversy with that, but so right now on the episode we have Robert Leadley. He's the senior director for BeatBoss, and you already touched on briefly some of these items, but Robert, how does BeatBoss differentiate itself? Can you dive into a little bit more of that?
I'd love to. And I want to highlight what you just said, Tyler, about welcoming all cycling methodologies. We at BeatBoss, we support traditional indoor cycling, and we support non-traditional cycling as long as it's done safe and effectively. We really we think of it as a sandbox, and BeatBoss is kind of in the middle of the sandbox, and we want everyone to be able to play together in the sandbox, if you will. So touching on again on what BeatBoss is, we bring our tagline is we bring purpose to the party.
Mm-hmm.
So we are truly a game-changing modernization of indoor cycling, where we utilize power and watts. We utilize rhythm as our main driver. That's why we're called BeatBoss. We ride to the beat of the music. And then we are also inspired by those off-road outdoor bikers, those BMX and mountain bikers who do move their bodies in a three-dimensional plane. to achieve what they do. And BeatBoss is backed by science.
Hmm.
We have it's tried and true, tested all of these upper body add-ons that are safe and effective. And also, a very important point to the BeatBoss instructors and class members, the upper body add-ons, they are totally optional. They are not a requirement to be done on the bike. If you are not comfortable or able to do upper body add-ons on the bike, you're still very much welcome into a BeatBoss class.
Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. And I think that that answers a lot of questions for if there are doubters in terms of,
Mhm.
I'll say, more from the individuals in the fit industry that are unfamiliar with cycling, or they might think that cycling is not effective, or whatever that might be. Because I think that
Mhm.
there is a learning curve, despite being in the fitness industry for about a little over 10 years. I'm still learning about cycling. I've seen, of course, cycling done at every facility that I worked in when I was working in a gym or a health club. But did I really participate in them? Every now and then. It just wasn't really my interest, but I see really the benefit of it, and something to really think about with the different modalities, the methods with it is the barrier to entry for somebody new. So with that question, how can somebody, I'll say, at any fitness level, can they participate in? Are there modifications, progressions that you can really easily utilize in a group setting like that? I think that's a big one for people that are in group exercise, but now they're teaching cycling. How do they modify, progress, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I want to touch on what you said about being open and new ideas. That's kind of a paramount value of BeatBoss in
Hmm.
general, not just with indoor cycling, but being open to new ideas. As adults, we sometimes have a really hard time opening our minds and hearts to a new idea.
Agreed. Yeah.
And if we've been told that this is A and it's not B, and then C comes along, how do we conceptualize that and open ourselves to learning something new?
Hmm.
And this ties into the question you just had, is how do we welcome someone that may not, we hear it a lot, that I don't really like indoor cycling. I don't, it hurts my, hurts my rear. I didn't feel good after class. I didn't know
Hmm.
what was going on. And it actually harkens back to my very first indoor cycling class that I took years ago. I'm not going to kiss and tell, but it was at a big box gym in my
Hmm.
city. And I walked in, thought it looked kind of fun, but I was intimidated as heck. I was very, very nervous to go in. And didn't have any sort of help getting set up on the bike. I wasn't greeted by the instructor. My goal was not to throw up or leave. And I did not do either, but I also never returned.
Hmm.
And what the difference with a beat, when you're walking to a BeatBoss class, BeatBoss rhythm-based class, that you're welcomed immediately. You are offered a bike setup, and bike setup is a really, really big deal for someone that is new to an indoor cycling class, that they're set up correctly on their
Yeah.
bike. If they're not, they're going to walk out and they're going to hurt, and they're going to blame it on the class
Yeah.
rather than, and what's interesting is the indoor cycling bikes, and they're really not bikes, they're only one wheel. If we really think about breaking it down, they are sort of complicated pieces of exercise equipment. It's not as easy as just picking up a dumbbell and doing bicep curls.
Hmm.
You've got to get on the bike. You've got to make sure your adjustments are correctly. You've got to make sure that you're in the pedals correctly. So just initially, there is a lot that needs to happen to make a new person, especially if they're out of shape or deconditioned, how they're welcomed into the class. And then in terms of the actual work portion of class, uh, BeatBoss is committed to offering modifications for both beginning students class members and advancing class members. So you are welcomed to, if you need to sit down, let's say we're standing up out of the saddle and you're just riding the beat, okay, and you cannot maintain that rhythm. Let's say you just cannot. You're welcome to sit down and try to ride the beat. Also, if we are doing a faster cadence, let's say where our feet are, going faster, and you also cannot keep up with that cadence, you are welcomed to do the slower cadence. So that is another part of why we offer modifications, so that you feel, when you walk out of class, you feel like you have accomplished something. You don't feel defeated and you want to try more.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, during a BeatBoss class, every class, we go through a breakdown, almost like a checklist of what's going to happen during class. So there's nothing more frustrating than walking into any modality of fitness, walking into a class and the class just starts and you don't have any idea what's going on, and you're just kind of holding on for dear life while, maybe people that have been taking that class for years succeed and you're falling behind because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We've all been in that fitness class, right?
Yep.
So setting people up for success with the script, every class is a value of BeatBoss class, that you know what's going to happen. And then on the other side of the modification discussion, if you are an advancing class member, even if you are taking a really basic class with us, you can modify to your strengths and utilize your advancing tools that you've learned over how many classes that you've taken with BeatBoss. You're able to work yourself out harder, even though you're in a basic class.
Mm-hmm. So for people, listening right now, even though this is an audio podcast, I'm staring at Robert through Zoom and I see a bike right over his shoulder, which is very, I won't say it's not coincidental, but Robert, you mentioned a setup. I think that's so important for also even fitness professionals that have maybe never taken a cycling class. I know, thinking back on it, one of the first classes that I went to, I had no idea. And I don't want to say that's the fault of the instructor. Maybe it is. I'm not familiar enough with it. I would assume that in a group setting that the instructor would be asking these types of questions, helping with setup, all that kind of stuff. Can you take me through a setup? Because I think this could be great for fitness professionals, personal trainers that are maybe looking for that extra class to add into their client's schedule. Hey, here's a cycling class. It can be modified to your body type, to your fitness level. How, in that kind of, I'll say, thought process, what is a typical bike setup?
Well, this does go back to, we're right back where we started with the traditional and non-traditional worlds. There's actually different types of thought of setup with the two worlds.
Would have never guessed that.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, because they are basically the same bike. They all have the same mechanics, but the two different worlds have two different very setups. So with the traditional world, the seat is very high to kind of simulate that Tour de France style body fixed position, and that is what traditionalists utilize, is a singular plane of motion. They've got their seat, their seat is higher and their handlebars are lower to simulate what you would look like on an outdoor bike, road bike. And then oftentimes with the non-traditional world, the seat is a little bit higher and then the handlebars are really high, so that you're able to do those movements. So in what BeatBoss recommends in a BeatBoss class is those, and this is all tailored to each body. There is no skeletal perfect bike setup. I might have longer arms, shorter legs, and a really long torso. So the setup is going to be and that's why it's tailorable to each person when you come in. So each individual gets a specific bike setup, and we lead them, and that's how we lead each body type through. So it's a little bit more detailed than just giving a general bike setup, but we recommend seat not too high and not too low, and then the handlebar is just a little bit above the seat.
That's good to know, and I mean that's valuable information for someone like me. I would have never known that, to be honest. I would have never known that. I would have maybe gone to a BeatBoss class, or a rhythm-based class, and just set the bike up how maybe I did in the past. And I'll say it's very enlightening to get to dive into the different types of cycling, because it's something that has been around. And I think that's something that we've discussed in the past.
Yes.
Is the different modalities, the different thought processes, and all that kind of stuff. But just talking with you in this last 20 minutes is seeing the individualization of cycling and how you can tailor it to individuals. And I think that's so important for the industry these days, is to understand that group classes do have that ability to individualize. And I think that that's always the big knock on group classes, whether you're doing some type of step, you're doing cycling, you're doing a hit class, is, well, I don't get the individual attention. I don't get it's more of a group mindset. There are usual tweaks in there. I know. I used to teach a boot camp class, and that was the big sell of my classes. I make sure I don't participate in the class because I go around to work on technique with everybody to make sure that they know the exercise, know the movement, the purpose, all the things that you've already talked about, which is so important for exercise and adherence, all those kinds of items that you've already said, which is great. So with my next question, can you dive into the cardiorespiratory benefits of cycling? This is a very general question, but it's such it's one that everybody will want to know. Okay, what's the benefit? I mean, whether it's a squat, deadlift, cycling, what's the benefit of it?
Well, to answer the general question, is there benefit to the cardiorespiratory system in an indoor cycling class? The answer is absolutely yes. And this is going back to basically what we're talking about is the three different types of methodologies. We have the traditional, non-traditional, and then we have what BeatBoss has to offer. Traditional indoor cycling, watts are, like we discussed earlier, watts are king and queen. That is totally what your focus is in a traditional class. Basically, think when your watts output are high, your average is high, you're thinking legs and lungs. That's what you're thinking in terms of a traditional class. You're focusing on your lung capacity, sometimes your heart rate, and your lower half, how hard your legs, how much power your legs can generate. There is benefit to that, absolutely, to the cardiorespiratory system. Now, when we move towards the traditional side and into the BeatBoss methodology, riding the rhythm, true rhythm, we give actual RPMs to each song that we do. It makes you work really hard. And it makes you work in a more three-dimensional cardiorespiratory work, because you are attempting to stay on that rhythm. It really makes you work hard, and there's something about that connection, that emotional connection to that music, that makes you keep working hard, which means you're working your lungs, right? Because you're keeping up with that tempo, whether it be the slower or the faster. You're still in motion and working to the beat of the music. And then adding on to that, to the rhythm, on top of the rhythm, we're adding in the upper body add-ons and the power-based drills. So now you're really working hard. You're working your power. You're riding to the rhythm. You're working your lower body, and then you're utilizing the optional upper body add-ons with muscular work, stability. You're moving your fascia. So what's happening is you're moving into, again, a three-dimensional cardiorespiratory total body cross-training workout. And it just happens to be on a fixed-based indoor bike.
Very nice. Very nice. And something to transition to right now, and it's almost every question that a question that I've asked every instructor, based on the recording date. We're looking at past couple months where many individuals have not been able to teach live. And I know from just conversations we've had with you and Andrea, the owner of BeatBoss, that you guys have played a big role with going virtual. And I know that that's something that we've talked about in different capacities. And can you share kind of the virtual experience right now for someone wanting to participate in a cycling class? Maybe they have one already. They might have a bike at their home. What is that experience that you guys are trying to achieve with a BeatBoss on-demand class?
That is an awesome question. We're calling it our new fitness world.
I
Is
like it.
really, kind of a positive outlook on our situation right now. We're looking at a new fitness world, and
Mhm.
just like what everyone really did about 3-4 months ago was we scrambled a bit to kind of figure out what was happening. How are we going to continue to give classes to motivate people to be fit and work out, and yet we can't do that live. And
Mhm.
many, many, many millions of people are motivated by group fitness, myself included. I'm not the greatest self-starter with a home workout. I definitely enjoy teaching and taking classes in a group. And what we did is take a little bit of a breath and just start to look at what was being given out there, how we were going to value a BeatBoss class, even though it was going to be delivered through a virtual platform.
Mhm.
And we really took our time to test cameras and sound, and the best way, no frills attached, but the best way to really experience a BeatBoss class. And that's how we developed BeatBoss on demand. And so we have filmed 30-minute classes, 45, 60, 75 minutes of differing levels of, level 1, 2, and 3, with more levels coming.
Mhm.
And our library of on-demand classes is ever growing.
Nice.
And we also have committed to making these classes as fun as possible. Our animals might wander through the background where we're filming, and we do interact with the camera a lot. So we really are striving to make it feel like we're there with you.
Yeah.
And that's that connection that is missing with virtual. It's a little lonely when we're just in our apartment or home on looking at a screen and just trying to stay motivated to keep moving through that class. It's very easy to just say, oh, I'm going to take that on-demand class, and then 20 minutes in, we're on our phone, or we're doing laundry or folding laundry, and we're just kind of watching along. And with the we also have live streaming, where we are live on camera.
Mhm.
We gather in a virtual lobby, and that's where we all can gather together and see each other before class. So it's not just me staring at a camera and you staring at the other end of the footage. There is a sense of community
Mhm.
in our live streaming classes, and that is definitely a bonus right now, with a lot of isolation
Yeah.
and gyms being closed, and or having really limited live class schedules, very limited class schedules. You are still able to enjoy a BeatBoss class anywhere and everywhere, anytime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All big positives in my book. And I
Yes.
know I'm not the norm with I I enjoy working out by myself, and that's why I have invested in my own
Right.
home gym and all the equipment, because I see it as um a way to save time throughout the day. A trip to
Absolutely.
the gym is, you know, conveniently, the gym I go to usually is about 10 minutes away, 8 minutes away, but that's to and from walking in, all that kind of stuff. You
Right.
save about 30 minutes a day. I will gladly take that 30 minutes and
Uh,
apply it somewhere
yeah.
else. And
Well, we all can use that. We all can use that time. And we're at BeatBoss is a growing, fast growing company,
yeah,
and people ask us all the time, when can we have more? We want more. We want more BeatBoss classes. And so here is the solution. And it's not the on-demand service is not meant to replace, say, Tyler's weightlifting home workout. It's meant to
hmm
supplement you source a bike, or you have a bike at a gym. You're not comfortable with taking classes, but you still are belonging to, let's say, a big box or a gym that you can
yeah,
use a bike. You can still take BeatBoss classes and then go about your other workouts. So it's a really amazing supplement to our new fitness world, either home or at gym workouts.
yeah. I like that idea right there. I really do. I think that that's something that you and I tapped into a little bit before we started to record was the process of people going back into a gym and the thought process for that. If you are maybe on the fence of it, or maybe you are not wanting to jump into a class yet, what you can potentially do, exactly what you just mentioned, you could take your phone, your tablet with you to the gym, and you could participate in a class in a bike on the cardio floor, and you could watch it right there. So not only are you quote unquote isolated from a class setting, but you are getting a great interaction. You're getting to participate in a class. And I think that's just a great idea right there. Just being able to pop that in a gym if you don't have a bike, and boom, now you can stream right there. Essentially have your own group class, your training class, and you get all those types of things that you look for in a group class. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
Absolutely. It's like we said earlier before the recording, our the word of 2020 is pivoting.
Yep.
It really is. And if you don't have a gym available, many places at this time, place and time in the world and our year, many don't. So you have to get creative. And there is just a deluge of on-demand classes in general, just in all modalities. There's
Yeah.
just so many, and BeatBoss is offering the best content possible, the best classes.
I dig it. I dig it. So,
Yes.
as we transition now into the podcast takeaways, and the way that I usually explain these is about 2, 3 months ago, and I'm probably off on the date range just because I've lost track of it. But there was a documentary on Netflix, I believe it's called Iron Cowboy, where an individual does 50 Ironmans. They're not, I'll say, set up competitions, but he does 50 Ironmans in 50 different states. Amazing, amazing what he did.
Wow.
And with that, I was like, wow, this guy's phenomenal. That just the demand on the body, all that kind of stuff. So I started following him on Twitter, and he was asked this question about competing in Ironman. What are 3 lies about competing in an Ironman? I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And he dove into it. He shared his responses via screen share
Mhm.
about his response, about his beliefs about competing in Ironman. I was like, okay, this would be a great question for the KIPS podcast. So, Robert, what are 3 lies within the fitness industry?
Well, in the terms of my world in the indoor cycling industry specifically, there is blowback from each side, from that traditional non-traditional side. So there's a lot of misconceptions from the traditional side saying what rhythm riding and upper body add-ons, that is dangerous. It's contraindicated is a big word in the traditional non-traditional worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It means basically don't do it. It's bad. Contraindication means it is bad for you. You should not do it. It's unsafe. Where on the other side, the non-traditionalists say the power traditionalists, it's boring, it hurts my knees, it's not fun. And that's where we kind of come in we come in the middle, and we talk about those contraindications that those upper body movements have been causing, they say it's shearing on your knees. And there's a lot of talk of reports, health reports that have been written by doctors that saying upper body movement is dangerous. And we haven't really ever seen the actual report. Maybe they are out there. We've just never actually seen these verified, vetted reports of how rhythm riding and upper body add-ons are dangerous. So I think there's a lot of just holding on to some tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and that causes us to react, to be reactionary to something new. And there is definitely misconception that BeatBoss, because we do these upper body add-ons, that it is, in huge quotation marks, dangerous, and that is simply not true. In fact, with our instructors, when they are certified, our certification, we teach very little upper body add-on. We really break it down to the basics of rhythm riding. So our initial basic certification, our layout 1, if you will, we have many, many months of layouts that we offer our instructors. They start really at the base. We start at fundamentals, and they are also given a power layout that is rhythm and power put together with no upper body add-ons whatsoever. It is just rhythm and power drills. And so the misconception of that we're one side of the coin or the other, it's simply not true.
Mm-hmm.
We can service literally A to Z of the fitness indoor cycling world, and we do see unsafe movements in non-traditional classes sometimes too. We'll see some unsafe movement. You may have seen, a woman with her one foot on the pedal and her other foot is going crazy on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to emphasize that this is a safe, very safe methodology. We are education providers through ACE, NASM, and AFA. When you get certified, you are able to you will be getting 14 hours of continuing education credits. And so it's the certification in our classes, it's the real deal.
Yeah. With thinking about, I'll say a couple points in there. I mean, when we think about even, I'll say squats, I've read plenty of research that's saying squatting is better for your knees, your back than running. I've read plenty of research about that. But
Yes.
yet many people will think, oh, I need to run to get in shape. I need to do these competitions. I need to do marathon running. I need to do endurance running. Well, I've read plenty of research that says that you have a higher chance of getting injured that way. And
Yes.
am I going to say, no, don't do that. Of course not. It depends on the situation, the individual, their interests. There's so many levels to it that I've always adopted a mindset of whatever gets people active, I'm all for it. And I say this all the time, whether it's Zumba, whether it's group classes, whether it's personal training, whatever that might be, whatever gets people active, because that's the issue that we face these days is an issue of inactivity. So whatever gets people moving, I'm all for it. Do it. Do it as much as
I
you can. Stay
yeah.
consistent.
I 100% sign off on that sentiment as well. What's really dangerous, truly dangerous, is sitting on the couch and not moving. That
Mm-hmm.
is quite dangerous. And to your testament about running versus squats, I mean, yeah, I'm an outdoor biker. I bike outside as well,
Mm-hmm.
and there is the fear of an accident. I mean, bikers get hit. It's
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
there are real hospital reports of the thousands or tens of thousands of people that are hurt or severely hurt on an outdoor bike. Or I mean, you could roll your ankle in Zumba.
Yeah. Exactly.
You could pull a shoulder, CrossFit. There's injury in every modality. So keeping people safe, repetition limits, those are all paramount ideas when it comes to a BeatBoss class. And you mentioned Andrea, the leader of BeatBoss. She's a long time personal trainer. So the ideas and ideologies of her personal training that she's been doing for years and years, they are implemented into our instructors and our members' growth in their safety, their conditioning, their progression, and then the fun factor is really high as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So Robert, as we continue to wind this podcast down, can you share with people tuning in to listen where they can find more information about BeatBoss, any upcoming events, or even dive into a little bit more about the streaming and on-demand platform that you guys have?
Absolutely. So our website is www.beatboss.rocks, like drumbeatboss.rocks. Okay, www.beatboss.rocks. That's where you'll be able to sign up for the BeatBoss On Demand live streaming service. You'll also be able to sign up for our upcoming online certifications. We have one August 15th and 16th, 2020. That's coming up in a couple weeks. Sign up is open, of course. We are holding the price right now for our current state of times at our early bird pricing. We also have another certification November 7th and 8th that will be online. And then we're also going to be on the online Fit Fest.
Yes.
The virtual fitness fest.
Perfect. And then Robert, what are your own personal social media channels for people to find you?
Yep. And so on Facebook, it's BeatBoss. We have a Facebook page. And then on Instagram, it is BeatBoss Biking. So feel free to like those couple of pages. And if you have any more questions, comments, curiosities about us, feel free to message us either through the website, through Instagram, or through Facebook. We are quick responders to all messages.
Perfect. Great stuff, sharing content about cycling. I know for myself, I learned a lot just in this episode, learning the different methodologies, how they approach cycling, the bike, all that kind of stuff. Really great stuff, Robert. Thank you for being a guest on the episode.
Thanks so much, Tyler.